Hey, JC here again for retirecheap.asia. I'm always looking for ways to create value for people who seem to be in a situation that they need to improve in their lives. Usually it's retirees. They're getting up into an older age and they're looking at living on a fixed income. And so I'm always trying to find ways that they can get more life for less money and options for being able to live on a limited income. So they might be looking now and saying, well, this guy is too young to be retired. And so a little backstory to how I'm here with Rasmus. What's your last name, Rasmus?
Lindgren.
Lindgren.
Yes, a bit hard to say.
Yeah. Anyway, our paths crossed because I was actually starting my project, which was almost, I guess it's going on 3 years now. And I was doing some searching on the web and came across some products that you had and that I corresponded with you about. And you were very helpful in trying to help me work some aspects of my video because my whole program's video based. And so you were real helpful in that, and we corresponded for off and on for a few years. And then I found out that you actually spent time in Thailand every year. And so we always, last year we missed each other, but this year when you came back I said, okay, we're going to have to hook up and meet. And we did 2 days ago. And it turns out we have a lot of beliefs in common and a lot of things that I felt that we could share with some of the people watching, even though you're not up into the retirement age. You actually have a website called retirecheap.asia. And
if we can say that on your
absolutely, we can say anything we want. And so in my membership site as well, I talk about even people that are up in age that are going to retire. If they're going to move over to Thailand or any other country, there's two things that they need to think about. One is staying occupied. You don't want to sit, I always say, people that come over and sit on a bar stool all day and talk to their friends, that's not a good life. Actually, retirement to me should be getting paid to do what you love to do. Right? I mean, because you save up assets or the government's going to pay you money. And then what do? You should be doing what you always wanted to do. And so that's where our beliefs sort of coincide, so to speak, because this is sort of what you also want to teach people as well. So where do you actually live? Most of the time.
Most of the time, I live in Denmark, in the major area of Copenhagen. That's the capital of Denmark. So right now it's actually freezing and we have snow all over. So that's why my family are escaping down here to Thailand for a few months each year.
And you have a beautiful home here. And how much time do you spend in Thailand every year?
Around 2 months. Around 2 months, yeah. In January, February period, because that's the worst part. We've, gotten across Christmas or past Christmas and New Year's Eve, and then we're kind of, heading down here.
And so, how are you able to do this? I mean, come on, you're not a retirement age. So this is what I want to sort of discuss. A couple other things that we chatted about the other day, but really it's about how somebody can supplement their income while they're over here retired, or people that are younger than retirement that have a series of years they're going to have to pass through before they get to an age where they're going to get paid a pension or a government fund or something like that. And how they could actually create a lifestyle like this and waiting for their retirement. And it's interesting to me because this retire my ass is really about this kind of thing that, in my member site I talk about supplementing income, and this is sort of how our paths are going to cross here in this conversation or this interview as well. And so how do you feel, because I've sort of shared my belief about this before, that we should be passionate about what we do And if you're passionate about it and you become an expert at something throughout your life, in other words, something that wasn't a focus of selling information, but it was about something that you love to do, you gained a lot of information and wisdom, and now you could share it with somebody. And so tell me about your thoughts about how somebody could actually come over and have a lifestyle like this, either part of the year or all year.
I mean, I tend to call this a lifestyle business that I have, because a lifestyle business is really about supporting my desired way of life or my desired lifestyle, right? So it has to be something that is, quite scalable and something that I can bring with me here to Thailand that doesn't really involve in me trading my time for money that you usually do in a normal 9-to-5 job.
Right.
So last year I did work as a consultant 4 or 5 months out of the year. That is still me trading my time for money, but I also have a few companies in Denmark, mainly targeting the Danish business-to-business segments, where I provide them with services that are fulfilled online. And that means that I don't have to be there in order to do this fulfillment.
That's right.
And I don't even do the fulfillment myself. I have someone, actually one team in Eastern Europe sitting and doing some of the fulfillment, and I have another team in the Philippines doing some other fulfillment of my businesses. So my main tasks in that business is just about sending a few emails out every now and then. So that is quite easy for me, because they do all the heavy lifting, and I'm charging, or I'm putting like 50% on top of their service fees, right?
Right.
And I'm only paying them per project, so I don't have any fees holding me back, or any employees I have to hire, and
No continuing overhead.
no,
of
exactly,
costs.
exactly.
They're getting paid for their work.
Exactly. So
And then you can upsell the work that they're doing. In other words, you're making the connection between the buyer of a product,
Exactly.
and you've got somebody fulfilling it, and you're the go-between.
I'm just a proxy in
Broker.
between, or broker in between two parties here. I have a Danish company, so people tend to trust me, but they want the cheap price they can get because I'm using outsourcing. And I can get it really cheap because, as you said, I'm using my expert knowledge in that space, because I've been in the IT industry for a lot of years, and I've seen a lot of outsourcing going on there, and I know how I can get that working with all the processes. So I'm applying that knowledge that I have from that space into creating these small lifestyle businesses that might only generate, let's say, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 each year a piece, but still it's really non-work for me. And you probably know, if you made like $50,000 a year, you could still live quite comfortable here in Thailand.
Absolutely.
And you see my house now. I like to up it a little bit, right? Because I don't like the backpack life anymore.
Yeah, but they don't know that you're sitting by the pool with your laptop on your belly while
exactly.
you're making this money either.
I need to put on some bit of weight, because the laptop have to be placed right here.
Right. It's got to have the right angle, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, sure.
And
And that's interesting, because we actually talked about this the other day, that what I try and tell people is, once you figure out what it is your niche is going to be, what you're an expert at, or what you're passionate about. So, I always say you don't go to work a day in your life if you're doing what you love to do. It's just you're putting in hours doing something, but it's not work. So it's that whole thing about the 4-hour work week and the misconception there, and we talked about that as well. That there's a misconception to think that when somebody talks about a 4-hour work week, that the rest of the time they're playing. And it's not necessarily they're playing, but they're doing what they love to do, and they limit what they don't like to do to the 4 hours. It might be a task involved in the business end of things, but it's something that they're not real passionate about. They're not really, it's not fun for them, and they limit that. And the way to do that, and you just mentioned this a few minutes ago, is outsourcing or delegating a lot of that stuff. And a lot of people don't understand the idea or concept too as well, is that if you can make, say, $30 an hour, and you can pay somebody $5 an hour for the same thing, it's like, it's in your best interest not to do it. Why take your time and to make the $30 when you can have that free time and pay somebody $5 or $10? Even if you're netting out half of that money, it's still good,
Exactly. I also tend to look at, because I have this IT background, and when I talk about business automation, I think I look at two things: both outsourcing, where you leverage, as you just said, someone else's time, and you can actually make a markup on that. But also, you could call it IT automation. For instance, I had this business where I needed to do some invoicing. And I hate doing invoicing, right? I'm not the invoicing type of guy, but I want the cash flowing in, right? And it took me forever because we have these requirements in Denmark on how an invoice should be, else it's not legal. And PayPal couldn't deliver these invoices for me. So I had to have my own invoicing done. And I spent a lot of time on this each month because every time I got a new client, I had to do a new invoice for that client as well. So I paid someone on elance.com, I think it was $200, $300 US, and he created a small gadget for me. So now I can do all my invoicing in just 30 minutes each month, one time each month. I just go in, pull out the stuff I get from PayPal, and put that into the thing he created, push a button, and then it sends out all the invoices to my clients.
Wow, very cool.
That's another thing where I paid $200-300 one time, but it saved me hours and hours and hours each month. So
right.
I tend to focus on either outsourcing automation or the more technical side of automation. Just these small things that save you time each month.
Yeah, and then it's deciding what you can do with all that time that you've saved.
Yes.
And that's when it comes to actually creating a lifestyle. And I think a lot of people get confused and sort of work backwards, in my opinion, that they look at what they have and then say, okay, what kind of lifestyle can I have based on what I've created?
Yeah.
And I think it's sort of backwards. I think we should look at the lifestyle we want first and then how to create that. And that way you're limiting how many hours you're working, you're limiting how many, it's like how much unleveraged time, because leverage is a good thing. Anytime you can create money leveraged, where it's not like you mentioned before about how many hours you have in a day, how much money can you make for every hour you're working, it's much better if the money's coming in a form that isn't requiring your time to produce. And the thing about this, and we've talked about this before as well, is that once that you've figured out how to do this, whether it's a blog or a product or something, once you've figured out how to do it, then you can duplicate it.
Yeah.
So like you said, one of your businesses might only make $20,000 or $30,000 a year, but if you've got 2 or 3 of these that are basically doing the same thing, but maybe a little bit differently or a different product, then it compounds that money.
Yeah.
And so...
Exactly. If you look at, I usually tell people that what do you think is the hardest? Create a company that generates $50,000 a year, or one you can sell in 10 years' time for $100 million, right? And I get those people who want to build the $1 million company, and I'm all for that. Good for you. I just don't want to spend the next 10 years working 80 hours a week on a computer in front of a desk. I mean, I want to do stuff like this, right? And travel the world. So I rather build these small businesses because it's much, much easier to build these small businesses and get the income flowing. I mean, one of my companies where I deliver e-commerce sites to the Danish market, if you want, e-commerce site, I created that in a week, and I was making $2,000 in profit after a month, each month. For the first couple of months, and then it's risen since then. But I mean, it took me a week to create this because basically it was just 2 things, or 3 things. 1, create the website. 2, find the company should actually produce these e-commerce websites, and that's where my knowledge and expertise comes into play. And 3, design the process that I wanted my customers to go through. And then I already knew where to find the customers because I knew a place there are a lot of Danish entrepreneurs who all wanted e-commerce sites, right? And I was just about spamming that forum and just spamming, but elegantly putting out my offer in that forum, and then say, hey, I got a cheap price for you here. I mean, and then that was basically, that's how I started my company. So 1 week's worth, and I was starting making money after the first week.
Well, you brought up a good point about people creating something in the future to be happy in the future, and they sacrifice. And a lot of that is an Asian mentality as well, that they try and do something for the future. You see people going to other countries, leaving Asia to make money to send back to the family in hopes that in the future everybody can go to that country and live, and a little bit of sacrifice there. But I believe that there should be more of a balance to happily succeed.
Yeah.
And so how do you feel about the balance, and what are you looking for as a balance in your life?
I mean,
because you have your family here.
Yeah, I mean, I have 2 kids, 2 and 4. So that's something that's important to me as well, to be able to be that dad that's there in the family instead of perhaps being the guy who's working 80 hours a week on this big project, right? You know, I think actually the whole notion of, if you look at the work-life balance that is so described, I hate that word. I would rather call it life-work balance, because what should come first is really your life, right?
Absolutely.
So I tend to think it that way. One of the things I think we're doing the wrong way is the whole culture, also the Western culture. You brought up with the Asian culture, but also with the Western culture, where we get this story about you have to go to school, you have to get good grades, you have to go out and get a really good job, and then you have to work really, really hard, and then you get a promotion, and then you can buy your second car or your vacation home or whatever, and then you can become a manager, make a little bit more, struggle even harder, and then once you're 70 with 2 false hips, then you can enjoy life, right?
Boy, has that bubble been burst in the U.S. I'll tell you, that's not even an option anymore. I mean, people, even if they wanted to go through that, that's not even there anymore.
But people are still following that trail because they don't know what the alternative is.
Yeah, and the cool thing about technology is that it creates opportunities that were never available before.
Yeah, exactly.
So, people say, oh, it's a pity or a shame that that lifestyle is not there anymore, that you can't go through this ladder, stepping stone to success. And I'm thinking, yeah, but you can have success just with an idea now, because with social networking, and I call internet social networking. I mean, it doesn't have to be a social network application or a website, just because it's so easy to communicate between each other. And my philosophy for business is that all you got to do is go get, create a lot of value, and people will talk about it.
Yeah.
And you don't have to advertise. People will advertise for you, which is the best form of advertisement, because sending out an email to somebody that they don't know you and say, check out my product, or if a friend tells them, wow, you got to check this out, this is really cool.
Yeah.
What's the higher percentage that they're actually going to go check it out?
Exactly.
And when a friend tells them. So this is the thing about the opportunities now, and why information like what you sell is so valuable for people to be able to have the lifestyle that they want.
That's one of the biggest, you can call it sales technique or closers. That's really social proof, right?
Social proof,
because
exactly.
If the car dealer comes up to you and say, this is a really, really good car, this one here. Runs like a dream, right?
He's trying to sell you the car.
Exactly, right? I mean, but if you got your friend out who's this mechanic and says, well, it's an okay car, this one, and doesn't leak too much oil and anything like that, right? Then you tend to listen to him, right? And it doesn't even have to be a mechanic. It can just be your not so smart friend you brought out to look at the car with you. But if he says it's cool to look at, then, well, that's accept enough, right?
Absolutely.
So social proof, someone else telling you that this product is super cool, is so valuable for
Or even better yet, you getting in the car with them, your friend, and them driving it, and they're so excited. You're like, wow, yeah, this is cool, you know? But just because they're excited about it, that's social proof for sure. It's like, wow, this is pretty good. Or everybody talking about something.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot, where people aren't even familiar with a product or something, and then they hear somebody say it, and all of a sudden, it's called the reticular activating system in the brain. All of a sudden, your brain starts to pay attention to that, or it never did before. And then it's like all of a sudden, it's like you see, somebody talks about a car you've never seen or heard of, and all of a sudden, then you see them everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just because now you're focusing on it, and so it's really important to pay attention to what we focus on, or what we choose to focus on, or focus on a direction in our life. And that's that thing about, what do you want your life to be like? And then work backwards and how do you get it?
Yeah.
And so that's when it comes into either my website for retiring or your products for creating income. I mean, it's like, because somebody wants to go to work all day until they get those false hips, don't need your product, because they're going to grind it out every year until hopefully they get that gold watch or that check.
Yeah.
But there's options. I always end every video with, there's always an option. And with income now, and being able to live a life, internet and wireless communications are available almost everywhere that people want to live.
Exactly.
And if they don't want wireless or communications, then they don't need much money because they're going to be living in a hut somewhere, you know? Because it permeates now the world, this communication and availability to communicate and to create a commerce website, which is very cool. And I've said this before, I talked to you about this. It's like anything that somebody's been passionate about, they don't realize that they're an expert. But they've gained so much knowledge and so many details about a specific subject that other people don't know. They might think, oh, everybody knows this.
Yeah.
They don't.
You have the whole insecurity thing. Am I good enough in order to, you know, provide value on this? Will people actually pay me for this? But let's not forget, you typically have a job before you're leaving it, at least, right? You have a 9 to 5, so someone is already paying you for that knowledge.
Right.
So you already have the knowledge. You just have to find the other people who will pay you for it, and then cut out your company, right?
Yeah.
So people tend to be a bit too insecure about their own worth, I think, because if you've been in a job at 10, 20 years, you know way more about your subject than a lot of other people. And you don't have to be the smartest guy on the planet in your topic. You just need to be, you know, smarter than 90% of other people.
Yeah, and you're talking about work-related. I'm not even talking. I'm expanding into people's personal lives.
Yeah.
Say somebody they love tomatoes, and they found out a way to grow real tomatoes that actually taste like a tomato, which we don't have in America anymore. When I was a kid, you bit into a tomato, it was a tomato. Now you bite into it, you might as well be biting into a shoe, you know. So anyway, I mean, maybe that's what they were passionate about, and they have they perfected a way to grow tomatoes hydroponically or organically, and it has nothing to do with their work. It was their hobby. But now, if they just created a blog, okay, and this is the example on how this works. Say they create a blog, and they start blogging every day about, and it could be the process of growing a tomato from the time they fertilize the ground to the point where they're biting into it with the family. All that process can be a blog. Yeah. And once they set up the blog and people are logging in every day or coming to the website just to follow the progress, all they have to do is put ads for any kind of affiliate where it's about gardening supplies. And there's plenty of companies that will pay you if you bring business to them to buy gardening tools, fertilizers, seeds, anything that has to do with gardening, because what kind of people are coming to read about growing a tomato? Gardeners. I mean, it's a fit, you know? And so it's just a natural fit. And these are the kind of things, the knowledge people's gained throughout their lives, they don't realize it's valuable, you know? And it's the eyes that are valuable, and it's like all they got to do is get a following or a fan club that like to read what they have to say.
The good thing about using your passion as a business idea, or at least, you know, going down that route, is with all businesses there will be bumps along the way. You will experience failure at some points. I experience failure a lot, I must say that, all the time. but you will experience failure. And the good thing about using your passion as a business idea is that you will typically stay longer with that idea.
Absolutely.
Because you're passionate about it.
Absolutely.
I mean, what does it matter you only have like 10 visitors a month to your blogs about tomatoes? It doesn't matter because you're passionate about it. You want to write that next blog post on how you grow these super tomatoes, right? I know nothing about tomatoes. You can hear that.
No, but exactly true.
So that's a really great way to start a business, because you will hold on to that for a longer period.
I think it's the only way to start the business. Because anything you're doing because you want to earn money, you're not going to be passionate about, unless you're writing about making money and you're passionate about that. But you're exactly right. I mean, you have to be passionate about what you're doing. And that passion will come across as well in what you're talking about. And to me, it's a given. It's a slam dunk, you know? And do it as a hobby, you know, on your side while you go to work, while you got income coming in, and watch the numbers grow of how many people, because you can get these metrics now on the back end and see how many people came to the site, how many unique visitors and how many repeat visitors. And you can watch it grow. And eyes are worth money. I won't mention companies' names, but there's some companies that wanted to pay billions of dollars for businesses on the internet that had started up and had so many people using the product, but was making no money. And these big companies wanted to buy them for $1 billion. Not because it wasn't making money, but because the potential.
They had traffic, and they had the potential to, at some point, put in somewhere a product somewhere that could be bought.
With that many eyes looking at it,
Yeah.
there's going to be a percentage that will buy. It's a percentage game.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, I wouldn't have started like something like YouTube, right? Because for the first many years, it was just an expense. I mean, you really have to be Google in order to sustain something like YouTube. Now, of course, you have ads on the videos and all of that, right? But I mean, starting it up, I mean, running it for like 10 years, something like that, with no real income coming in, just having probably one of the biggest data centers in the world and financing that. I mean, I wouldn't have thought of it because, I mean, for me, it's too much of expense, right?
Yeah. It's a cool story, too. They used to go out and talk to people about putting servers in places that, and they're like, well, what do you need this warehouse for? And they wouldn't even tell anybody. They just filled it with servers, you know, and air conditioning and stuff, and started to propagate these things. And that's when they went out and got financing. Now, financing, people are investing in something with no income stream. And it's like those people had a vision.
Yeah.
You know, they really did have a vision.
Yeah.
You gotta really, you know, say. I actually watched a video about these startup companies and investors that invested in these companies now that we know that are daily words in our life, you know. And it was, I forget the name of the video I watched. It was like a little documentary, and they talked about people coming to them with these ideas, and they would invest. And it wasn't a lot of money they invested. Now they're multi-millionaires because they believed in the idea.
Yeah.
And so having an idea that you believe in is the key.
Yeah.
You know, and having a lifestyle that you're focused on. I truly believe you put something out there, the universe helps to create the details to make it real.
Yeah.
And the more you express what it is you want, either through images or talking to people, then the synchronicity starts to happen to make that be fulfilled. I truly believe that.
The one thing, now we're talking a lot about, you know, technology companies, of course, but a lot of things I hear about this when I talk to people about it is that, but Rasmus, I'm not a computer geek. What do I do? You touched on it briefly, but what people don't really know is that technology has become so much more accessible. These past 5-6 years, technology has become so much easier to use. It is right, for like 10-15 years ago, you needed, you know, your 14-year-old pimple-faced nephew to do a website for you, but no, not anymore. I mean, anybody can do it. I actually have a video that say, let me show you how you can create a professional website in 1 hour, and I think it's like 30-40 minutes long, actually. So it's below an hour, right? It's become so easy and so simple to get something online going. Also, with all, you mentioned the social websites, like you have a big YouTube presence, for instance. It's done for you. You can just, you know, create an account and start uploading videos.
That's right.
In the past, you needed your own website. You needed to generate your own traffic to that website. Now you can just create an account and start with your camera and start uploading stuff on tomatoes or what.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
Or Canadian loggers or what do I know, right?
I mean, WordPress really changed the internet. I mean, WordPress, these content delivery systems, it's amazing. It's just, it simplified everything. And every plugin you can imagine to do something is available, and they're cheap now. I remember when software was hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Now you get it like $15, you know, to do something specialized for you. I still can't figure out Facebook, but I mean, someone like Google and Facebook, they're changing it so much to try and make it incorporate so many different things that I can't keep up with it. And so people always ask me, you got a Facebook page? And it's like, yeah, but I never go to it. It's like, I look at it and go, I can't figure out what to do. And anyway, but, you know, I'll go every once in a while and check people's comments and what they're saying, but that's it, and try and respond. But other than that, it's like way too complicated for me. I keep my life simple, you know.
Right. I actually recommend WordPress to almost anything. I mean, I use WordPress for all my websites simply because I don't, even with an IT background, I don't want to touch all the technical geeky stuff. I just want the one-click install WordPress that most, you know, web hosting companies have. I just go into this backend and click install WordPress, and 2 minutes later I have a
Yeah,
website.
I went through this whole process on my membership site.
Yeah.
And generating online income. I showed them step by step with videos how to find your niche, how to get the domain name, how to set up the WordPress, and the whole thing. Step by step to lead them right through the thing.
Yeah.
And then you can hire somebody to tweak it out for you. Because once all that's the foundations laid, then it's just giving it your own unique feel,
Yeah, and you can always improve on it, because that's another thing we talked about actually a couple of days ago, this thing about being perfect about something, right? Because people tend to say, well, this is my first website. I want it to be really smashing. I want it to be the best freaking looking website in the world on Tomatoes or whatever. But people tend to forget that you can always improve on it. You can always come back to it, and you have to learn along the way. What you might find aesthetically pleasing might not be what your audience finds aesthetically pleasing.
That's very true.
So everything can be improved, even though you spend a lot of money on it. So I would rather just don't spend a lot of money on your worst website. Get it up there, get some content, and focus your effort on providing great value. And then you come back and say, that logo, I might have, even put in a tomato here or there, or what do you have, right?
Sure.
Or put up that image of myself in there so people can see who it is, and so on. And think about branding yourself, but people spend way too much time on getting the first thing.
It's an excuse not to get started.
Yeah.
I really believe that.
Yeah.
Because one of the things I learned when I started out my project was to start it. I mean, everything was like, don't wait for it to be perfect, just do it.
Yeah.
And then start making, like you say, improvements along the way and getting feedback from people. There's I changed my direction on a lot of things as I started. Because what I thought would be good wasn't. And what I didn't think people would like, they liked.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of times with some of my videos, especially my member site, I'll be talking, about every week. I have a weekly update about what I'm doing, what we're going to be doing, what's new in Thailand, all the news, all this stuff. And I started getting this feedback from my members saying, I had to watch the video 3 times because of what was going on behind you. Because I would shoot these things in locations.
That's inside, and there's always something happening. Right?
Yeah, everybody's like watching all this stuff in the back. I realized, well, they're interested. So then I started to do the weekly update where I would actually walk through markets and stuff, and I would be voicing it over as I was walking, and also addressing what I was seeing, and they would see me interacting with people, and it was like, that completely changed the direction of some of my weekly updates that I did, and because that was feedback.
That's actually something they're really good at here in Thailand, this whole entrepreneurial, just get it out there.
Oh my gosh.
Just get it out there.
Aren't they?
Just before you came here this morning here, my aircon in the living room actually, went broke yesterday, and it started dripping water down there. And actually it was the same last year we were here, right? and we called this air conditioning guy up, and I say, warranty? 1 year warranty. It's just, past that 1 year, of course, right?
Yesterday.
And he splits all of it, apart, and he finds out there's some small broken thing. And he just, I don't know if he used duct tape or whatever he used, but he got it working and say, you can get a new spare part for this. Well, he said in Thai, I didn't understand anything, but I got the meaning, right? You can get a spare part for this, but right now it's working. So if you want to save money,
yeah, and that's the thing. They're always trying to save money for people here. I've gone into the dentist where I know I need a crown or something like that, and they go, well, we can put the crown on. It's going to take 2 weeks, or I can just temporarily fix this for you. Because a lot of Thai people don't have that money, so they're always trying to say, okay, we'll take care of it the way it is. And this thing about being able to take action, I mean, you can have people, not us, but Thai people, can have an idea for a restaurant and tomorrow open it.
Yeah.
Back home in the States, my God, it would take a year and $100,000. You had to go through all the planning and the permitting and all this stuff. Here you have an idea, you just go do it. And that's the way people can do it.
You have a bike already, right? Right. So you just, you just put this thing on the bike and you buy some pineapple and you just start selling.
That's right. Exactly. They can do it. And that's the thing about the internet now. That's a great analogy for the internet. You have an idea today.
Yeah.
You can start it tomorrow.
Do the pineapple stand. Don't worry that the bike is old and rusty and makes a funny sound. Don't worry about, it all looks a bit messy, but you have your pineapple and you're providing value for people, and it's that cheap. I mean,
that's right.
Yeah.
And that's the way the internet is. So you get an idea, you can have a WordPress up in 24 hours, a site, and just go with the standard theme and then start changing it as you go. And start your little business. And at least you have something to do.
Yeah.
And then as you start seeing people come and their eyes are coming, then put on something there that you feel is of value and is related to what you talk about. It's not brain surgery.
Nope.
You know?
I actually, created a membership site for some Danish customers that I have. It's really small, so it's not one of my real focus points. But I just went with the default WordPress design now that comes with WordPress. I just installed it, and I was happy with how it looked. I just, changed, of course, the name of the website, but that was about it. And so this looks fine. Normally I do a little bit more with the design, but this was for a so narrow group of people, so it looks good. I'm on, right?
I mean, it's so easy to put a background image and change the color of the background,
Yeah.
and that's like you have a custom site.
Yeah.
Put a background with some tomatoes on it, and you're good to go.
Yeah. People don't care about it. They want the value from what I'm teaching.
That's
in that
right.
site.
That's right. It's exactly true.
Yeah.
The content is what they're coming for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
And that's sort of strange because that was sort of the thing about the membership site that I have. I think a lot of people come for the content that I provide, but stay for the community.
Yeah.
With a membership site, it's like now, I got these steps that people are going through. It's like, okay, they think about moving to Thailand, they see the YouTube videos. They say, oh, I think I could live there. They get a membership. They come, they start knowing the details of all the things, the visas, relationships, transportation, driver's licenses, medical, all the stuff, all the details. And they're like, please, because my membership is cheap. And then all of a sudden they start to go into the forum and our live chat, and they start to make friendships with other people that are doing the same thing or going to do the same thing. I have great members. I got to throw out a shout out to my members that have stayed on as our membership, that are already living here, because they're providing so much great information for people that are coming over from not just my point of view now. We've got other people's point of view, and so it's really great. And I can't thank them enough.
Yeah.
And also all my members, shout out to all of them because they allow me to be able to do stuff like this, and travel to show different places, which means they're helping to help other people. It's not just me, because I can't do it by myself. And so that's really cool. And this whole thing about doing a business where you're helping people is a great thing,
And living the life that you're passionate about, that is, traveling around here out in Southeast Asia, I think that's fantastic. I mean,
Yeah, I'm very lucky,
Yeah, let's see if I can persuade my girlfriend to come 4 months the next year. I didn't say that.
No, you didn't say that. So anyway, well, I hope some of our viewers go on the web and check out your stuff. I really appreciate you sitting down with me and chatting about this because I'm real passionate about it. Because I think it's a great opportunity for anybody. I try and help anybody to live their dream, live their passion. So anyway, our technical difficulties there. The camera overheated sitting in the sun. It's a little warm. I know people, the same thing happens to them when they come over here. They overheat as well and shut down. But anyway, I just wanted to close with this and say I appreciate you sitting down with me and talking about all this stuff and sharing it with other people and help them to create the lifestyle that they want as well. So. Thanks again, and if anybody that's interested in, creating a lifestyle the way they want, go to retirecheap.asia and check out Rasmus's information, and he's got a lot of good stuff there. So thanks again. And,
Thank you for stopping by, JC.
Yeah. It was great to meet you finally in person. So remember, when it comes to living your life and living your dreams, there's always
options.
Always an option. All right. Take care. JC and Rasmus out.